All right. Our recording back at it with NFL Week 4 predictions and Week 3 recap. The young Rottweiler Ethan Hamilton.
Bark, 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 bark.
Yeah, he's on a new laptop. If he's looking a little
Freshy.
nice. And,
I got the cut. I got the
cut.
retwist and everything too.
All right, looking fresh. All right. I'm 007 Gage Sutton. Thank y'all for tuning in again. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe before you do anything else. Make sure you like the channel. Helps us out a lot. Helps the videos pop up in the algorithm and helps this video come out to more NFL fans just like you. So thank you. And let's get right into it, man. Week 3 was another crazy one. I feel like the NFL season has started off like we all predicted it would. I said with heavy sarcasm because we thought Sam Darnold is going to be 3-0 with the Vikings. Like
you mean Sam Montana?
Yes, I don't want to hear that. And we'll get to them too because I think their time's coming. But for Week 3, Ethan, what were some, I guess, big takeaways that you had from Week 3?
Honestly, and it hates me to say this, like with a heavy heart. I think that the Eagles are the favorite in the NFC. I think this year in particular, the NFC is so weak with Sanford being hurt and really being cooked goods. McCaffrey, it's looking like he's going to be out for potentially the rest of the season. They said he went to Germany to go see a doctor about his Achilles, and they said they're recommending at least a couple more months of recovery time. And with Debo still out, Kittle still out, that team 1-2 at the time of this recording, they're cooked goods. They really are. And the Eagles haven't, like I said, it pains me to say this, but they had a really, really good win against the Saints away from home. Jalen Hurts
without
played.
AJ Brown.
Without AJ. No, AJ Brown played. He didn't play?
AJ Brown was out that game.
He played. Well, without AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts played bad that game, and they still found a way to win because that Eagles front seven.
Jalen Carter, man, he's a problem.
He's coming into his own, and they're, like I said, the NFC I think is in particular really, really weak this year, and I think the Eagles are in prime position to take advantage of it, especially with the Cowboys not playing well, the Niners being hurt, them not really having any other contenders. Like, I'm not even trying to shit on your Packers, but like we kind of still really don't know what the Packers are because the Eagles, like I said, they didn't play a good game and they still beat y'all.
In Brazil, on shaky, weird field conditions.
They played on
the
same field. I don't know. Don't do that. They played on the same field.
I'm just saying that.
But
if the Packers were to cross the Eagles' path again, I think things would go a little differently. Knowing what Jalen Hurts,
if Jordan Love doesn't throw the game, but yeah. Okay. But like I said, I really think my overreaction this week is that I think the Eagles are justifiably the favorites in the NFC.
Well, okay, I was just about to say, like, I agree with your take that I think the Eagles are one of the favorites, if not the heavy favorite, just because the rest of the NFC is very up in the air right now. And my point is going to go with the Lions. I think the Lions have not looked as hot as we thought they were going to. I mean, the big thing for them was let's get Jameson Williams healthy. He's going to be a big part of like helping this offense take that next step because they were already really good last year. But I don't want to be the guy to say it, Ethan, but I know what the problem is.
With who?
With the Lions.
What's up? Shoot me.
It's Jared Goff, and it's been the problem. And again, I don't think Jared Goff is a horrible quarterback. I think he's good, but the problem is there's just a limit to what you can do with this offense because Jameson Williams is here. He's playing. He's making an impact. But the problem is Jared Goff just isn't able to deliver the ball to him. He's not.
And I feel like Lions fans, it's hard for them to like realize because seeing Matthew Stafford have all that success with the Rams, right? And them not having the team around him to really do something with Stafford when they had him on their roster. Jared Goff, and them having the success last year with Jared Goff. Jared Goff is, in my opinion, the definition of a B quarterback. Like, he is the definition of an above average quarterback. And that's not a bad thing. He's just not an X factor. He just really isn't. Like, you'll never count Jared Goff in that upper echelon or even like really, really good tier of quarterbacks. Like, that's just not what he is. He's going to be in the lower end of the top 10. The highest probably is going to be 9 or 10 on any given Sunday. And that's like I said, last year he was definitely
very generous.
No, that is being generous, because last year he was definitely a top 10 quarterback. He got them to an NFC Championship game, and if the defense didn't absolutely fold in the second half against the Niners, they should have been playing in the Super Bowl. The Detroit Lions should have been playing in the Super Bowl, right? If it wasn't for Dan Campbell and the defense. But at the same time, you're absolutely, there's a ceiling to how good a Jared Goff-led team is going to be. You're going to have certain conditions around the team for them to succeed. And I feel like the Lions this year, I feel like a lot of the favorites in the NFC, like I said, I talked about it in my last overreaction, they're stumbling out the gates. The Cowboys, the game plan is out. Get an early lead on them, run the ball. The Cowboys offense isn't as good as it was last year. And triple team CeeDee Lamb, and you can beat them. The Niners, a similar effect. Like, there is a game plan out on the Niners. Like, the Vikings now are showed it, and looks like a lot of teams are trying to repeat the success. Hell, even Green Bay, like, Green Bay is playing well, but like I said, look at the Eagles game. When push came to shove, they weren't able to make the plays to close out the game. And even the Eagles aren't even that great. Like, the NFC is up for the taking, and the Lions just haven't proven to be, through 3 games, a contender.
I think not a contender is a little. I think all of these teams are still contenders. We're only 3 weeks into the season, except the Panthers, I guess. No, I guess they want to get
Panthers, so. And I would say like Giants.
Yeah, the Giants too are pretty bad. But I mean, like, regardless, like, it's 3 weeks in. We're still calling them overreactions for a reason. But yeah, I'm like in the same belief that I just think, like, they came out a little slow out the gates, and I think Jared Goff has to play better if they want to reach their potential. Okay,
I think they need to run the ball. I really think, though. I don't think they kind of ignored a lot of the value that a guy like Williams and David Montgomery
Gibbs and
Montgomery, especially Montgomery, what Montgomery can bring to that team. And I don't know. I feel like that's what made the difference, especially last year, is they were able to find that balance of getting guys like Amon-Ra involved, but at the same time making sure Montgomery and Gibbs get their touches to control the game. And so I feel like slowly but surely the Lions are going to have to try to get back to that formula.
Yeah, I think running the ball is going to be big, but they just got to find good ways to get both of those guys the ball, like you said. All right, real quickly, before we go on to our Week 4 predictions, I want to quickly talk about 2 teams in the AFC that are both 0-3. I'm not ready to hit the panic button on one of them. I am ready to hit the panic button on the other. And I'll start with the team that I'm ready to hit the panic button on, and that is the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it's funny because we talked about them last week. They lose to the Buffalo Bills, and it was an embarrassing fashion, Ethan. It wasn't even a game. The Jags came out flat. The offense looked rough. The defense could not handle Josh Allen in that offense. They are up shit creek without a paddle right now, in my opinion, because right now they are seriously in a very real position to start the season at 0-4, because we're about to get to predictions. They play Houston this week. Doug Peterson might not have a job after next week if the Texans blow them out.
Yeah, I think they're reaching the end of the tenure with Doug Peterson and how far he can take this team. I don't think they've really, really recovered. No, I'm not going to say since the Chargers collapsed, but ever since last season when Trevor Lawrence got that injury, that team hasn't looked the same. Like, what they start last year, the season, like 8-1, 7-2, like something like that.
Bro, they haven't won a game since Thanksgiving.
Like they fell off a cliff. And I feel like we need to have a genuine conversation about Trevor Lawrence in the respect that, like, if you put his blind stats up against some of the bottom tier quarterbacks in the NFL, he matches up with that. Like, for example, like, I know on First Things First, they talked about comparing him to Daniel Jones. Like, why don't we hold him to the same standard? And I think we're entering that category. Like, and I feel like somebody like you And even your brother, I know. Shout
Oh
out
yeah,
Dylan
Dylan's the biggest Trevor Lawrence
Lawrence
defender.
fan.
Yep.
He got to hold up the fact that Trevor Lawrence is nowhere near like a good quarterback. He's not there. And at a certain point, we can't keep blaming the situation around him. Even though I think the NFL, it is very important, the situation that around you. We got to talk about like just his play overall. They stunk up the joint. I know there was some stat about the Bills being one of the only like 3 or 4 teams in the Super Bowl era to go have an NFL game, regular season game, where they went 5 for 5, 6 for 6 for touchdowns to open the game.
Yeah.
Like the Bills' offense was not missing, but at
It's
the same
47
time,
points. Yeah.
but at the same time, they had 3 points at halftime, 3 or 6 points at halftime. Like that's unacceptable, especially with them using a high round draft pick this year on Brian Thomas Jr. Them still having ETN, them still having Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk. Like the team, like the roster in and of itself is not bad,
It's not
but they're not
confident.
like
Yeah.
it's very competent, but they're just not playing well. And Trevor Lawrence is a big part of that.
Yeah.
And
I'm
I
with
think
you.
they're feeling the effects of them having the number one overall pick a few years prior and picking a guy like Trayvon Walker, who isn't necessarily bad, but when you look at Detroit and what they have in Aiden Hutchinson, and he's turning into like a premier pass rusher in the football league, I feel like they're feeling the effects of it now.
Yeah, and they're kind of in a position where they just paid Trevor, so he can't really be the scapegoat. They can't really put him in the position to be like, we have to, or we can bench him.
I was going to say they can definitely make him a scapegoat. Like, bro, we talk a lot of shit about like quarterbacks and how much money they were. At the end of the season, Trevor Lawrence might have the worst quarterback contract in football.
Okay, hold on. Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
Why not?
There are two guys. There are 2 guys ahead of him that I still think we're not talking about right now.
Yeah, for sure, but like he's getting paid more money than Daniel Jones, and he's not playing better than Daniel Jones. They're playing about the same level, and I feel like people don't. I don't think people realize how bad Trevor Lawrence is playing. I don't think people realize how bad he's playing. I know you don't want to say. I know you don't want to say it, but up until this year, Trevor Lawrence had, like I said, he had Saquon Barkley. Yes. What other wide receivers did he have?
Not Saquon. He didn't have Saquon. He had Calvin Ridley.
No, I'm talking about Trevor Lawrence.
Are you talking about
Daniel Jones?
Lawrence.
Yeah.
Oh, Daniel Jones. Oh, my bad.
He had Saquon, and that's it. As far as receiving threats, he didn't have nobody. He had John Ross. He had old boy from Tony, who's not good. Wan'Dale Robinson's a solid wide receiver. He just now got Malik Neighbors. And don't get me wrong, Malik Neighbors is going to end up being really, really good.
He's a dog.
He really is. Like, he really is. Even tonight against the Cowboys, like, I feel like when anybody that wasn't named Trayvon Diggs was on him, chopped and screwed. Like, they were cooked. Yeah. But the point being is that Trevor Lawrence, at the very least, has had Christian Kirk. He's had Calvin Ridley. He's had Evan Ingram. He's had Travis Etienne. Like, he's had guys, like, don't get me wrong, not elite, but way better than guys like Trevor, like Daniel Jones has had. And when you put his stats up and his production, especially like now with the sample sizes getting too much and not to ignore, you had a whole full rookie season with Urban Meyer that he was trash in. Then we kind of chalk it up to, oh, he had Urban Meyer. But the last 10 games, he's been bad.
Yeah.
Really, really bad.
Yeah, I think the thing for me is like we have seen him play really good at points, obviously before this 10-game stretch. And that's why I guess there's still a little hope for me that like maybe he can turn this around with maybe a change of coach. Because I think that's what's first like on the agenda for the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think Doug Peterson has got to go. But yeah, I mean, I think Jacksonville this season is not looking great for you guys. Let's talk about the other 0-3 team real quick before we start the predictions. And just real quickly want to touch on them because they had their Monday night game against the Bengals too, or against the Commanders, but the Bengals are 0-3 to start the season. I think their offense looked really good against the Commanders. They started finding a groove. Their defense was in shambles. Jaden Daniels was doing whatever he wanted to against that defense.
Especially running the football. Running the football.
And late in the game, throwing it to
the money to Terry McLaurin. I think. Yeah, I hate to say this. Like I said, with me being a former Cowboys fan and all, but I think Washington really has one in Jaden Daniels. Like I think the search after RG3. RG3 was like just the tip. Like they almost had a franchise quarterback, but then they lost him after a year. I think Jaden Daniels is, and they ended up having a backup in Kirk Cousins that could have been a franchise quarterback. Didn't build a roster near good enough to give him something to work with, right? I think
Kirk
Jaden
Cousins
Daniels.
wasn't a franchise quarterback either.
No,
But
he is, but
anyway,
they're gonna
continue.
get. I think they're gonna have the chance. Like this is their first chance to really. You think about it, like almost a decade to really build a guy in Jaden Daniels. And I think Terry McLaurin, you saw him, bro. He was crying tears of joy. Like he finally has a quarterback. I think Dan Quinn, at least for the time being, he's a serviceable head coach. They've been able to build like a competent roster in Washington for the first time in a long time. Do you think Washington is going to win anything or do anything of importantly significance with this roster? No, I still think they're the third best team in the NFC East. I don't think they're going to get an NFC playoff spot this year. But
I mean, the way the NFC is looking right now, they could sneak in as a wild card team. You never know.
Maybe, but to focus on the Bengals, I think the Bengals kind of are stuck between a rock and a hard place. I feel like during that playoff run, people know the stories of the Bengals ownership being notoriously frugal when it comes to playing their star players, and I feel like they're kind of seeing the effects of it now, not paying a guy like Jesse Bates when this defense is not very good at all. Like it's not good at all, bro. It's really it's borderline being trash. And even when you pay a boatload of money to guys like Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and you're probably going to end up cashing out on T. Higgins as well, you don't have a run game. Joe Mixon went to the Texans, and he's still showing that he still has some juice left. The defense is still trash, though. Like, you use first-time draft picks on guys like Daxton Hill and some guys on the O-line, and the O-line is still trash. So I think the Bengals are stuck because I don't think Joe Burrow has played bad the last 2 weeks. I think he played really, really good against the Chiefs. He's a pass interference call away from winning that game. He played really, really good against Washington. 3 TDs, over 300 yards. They're kind of chopped and screwed, especially with the division turning out the way that it is. The Steelers 3-0, winning off of defense and really not turning over the ball. Baltimore getting their first win under the belt against the Cowboys. Like, yeah, I think the Bengals are almost close to. Like I said, in these next 2-3 weeks, we're going to see which teams are going to start packing in early for the season, and the Bengals are definitely on that list.
Yeah, I think they're on the watch list, but I'm not on the panic for them yet. Again, I think they're slow starters out the gate, but there's still a chance for them to come back, in my opinion. Still early in the season, and I really don't think their week 4 matchup is going to be very favorable. Which, with that being said, it's time to start our week 4 NFL predictions. As we record this episode, we are recording after Thursday Night Football, and we put our predictions for Thursday Night Football on Twitter and Instagram. Both Ethan and I, you can go follow us in the description if you don't follow us, so you can keep up.
Yeah, like what the fuck are you doing? Like, come on now, tap in.
Yeah, and you would know that this episode was going to come out a little later, just because, had to work it out. But basically, me and Ethan both picked the Cowboys, and Cowboys came out victorious on Thursday Night Football in a very ugly game.
I guess quick summaries. The Cowboys offense is going to go as far as CeeDee Lamb and Dak takes us. Dak is like I said, I can glaze Dak as much as like I can, but if the Cowboys did not have Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb, I don't think people would realize how bad that team would be. Like,
yeah, they're a mess.
Like Dak is like literally playing. I wouldn't say hero ball, but he's literally throwing lasers left and right with wide receivers that don't create any separation. Mike McCarthy seems to have taken a step back from last year. I feel like last year was an improvement, and he's got reversed from that. Like, especially with how the way they use the running back room which is probably the worst in the NFL, and how they use a guy like Brandon Cooks is beyond me. And the defense too, even though I got to give credit where credit is due, a guy like Mozzie Smith, the Cowboys fans have been waiting 2 years to show out. This was easily his best game of the season, or of his career, really. The Cowboys held the Giants to under 30 yards rushing, according to Cox sources. But I that didn't mean too much because Malik Neighbors and Wandale Robinson were really able to move the ball all across the field. But I feel like the Cowboys did solid. This win doesn't move the needle anything for the Cowboys. It just proves that they're not a bottom tier team. But like again, the Cowboys have a tough schedule, especially the first half of the year. I think they have a bye week this week, and then they go to play Pittsburgh next week. But how do you feel about the game, Gage?
If I'm a Cowboys fan, I'm concerned because not only did it seem like you leave that game a little banged up on both sides of the ball, but the Giants, they could not get a touchdown to save their life. They finished with 5 field goal drives. They literally got into the red zone every time and finished every drive with a field goal. If they would have scored 1 touchdown, that game goes completely differently. And like we're talking about, the Dallas Cowboys, I don't know if they have the offense to really convince me that they can come back and win this game if the Giants get 2 lucky breaks to go their way. Like, that's scary as a Cowboys fan. You guys are the 1 seed or the 2 seed last year. Mike McCarthy, again, like you said, thought everything was headed in the right direction with him. That has not been the case so far with this offense this year. And the defense has come out very rough to start the season. Again, it's week 3 or starting week 4. So, still a lot of season to go, but the Cowboys are going to have a lot to figure out if they're really going to want to be a contender.
For sure. Well, let's quickly go through these week 4 games. We got the Bengals at the Panthers. Who do you got, Gage?
Give me the Bengals. I think the Bengals can come back and get their first win of the season. Bounce back. This is where they need it.
Yeah, if you need an easy win, play the Carolina Panthers, and the Bengals do play them this week, and they will get it up. Next up, we got Saints versus Falcons, which I think is going to be an interesting game. I don't think the Falcons have played bad, particularly this season, nor do I think they played well. But I'm going to go with the Saints. I think the Saints are going to bounce back after the disappointing loss that I feel like they should have beat the Eagles, and I feel like they're going to beat the Falcons in Atlanta. But I do think it's going to be a pretty close game.
Yeah, me too. I think this is actually one of the more interesting matchups. Not the best game of the week, but definitely one of the ones where I had to think about it a little more. I'm going to take Atlanta. They're at home. They were a play away from beating the Chiefs last week. I think they need a win here too. So, division matchup. This one's going to just mean a little bit more, I think. So, give me the Falcons.
Next up, we got Jaguars versus Texans. I think Doug Peterson is going to be coaching for his job, but I don't think it's going to mean too much. I'm going to go with the Texans. I think they're going to be they're already proven that they're going to be probably the contender, them alongside maybe the Jets, maybe the Chargers, and contending with the Chiefs this year. But I'm going to go with the Texans.
Yeah, the Jags made me look like a fool last week for picking them over Buffalo, so I'm not making that mistake again. Give me the Texans. I really think that last week for them was just an off week, an off day in the office, but they'll bounce back and they will beat the crap out of the Jacksonville Jaguars. I feel almost positive.
I got you. Next up, we got Steelers versus Colts. All right, we got Broncos versus Jets. Pardon me. We got Broncos versus Jets. Honestly, I'm gonna go with the Jets. I think the Jets have been slowly but surely been getting better each and every game this season, and it's a good test against a Broncos team that has a pretty solid defense. I feel like we're gonna see the limits that the Rodgers and Garrett Wilson connection can go, especially going up against a guy like PS2 and Patrick Surtain. But I'm gonna go with the Jets.
Yeah, give me the Jets too. I think the Broncos looked good last week, but the Jets just have too much talent, and they're playing at home, starting to find a rhythm. Yeah, give me the Jets.
Next up, we got Vikings versus your Packers. And surprisingly, for the 3rd week in a row, I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers. I feel like these are the type of games that they win, even though I think the Vikings have been really, really good this season. Shout out to Brian Flores. Shout out to Sam Darnold. And I think they should be getting Jordan Addison back this week, which is going to help them a lot. This is just the type of black magic juju game that the Packers win without Jordan Love, because I don't think Jordan Love is going to play this week. As far as I'm the Packers concerned, Jordan Love should sit. He won the last 2 weeks against the Titans and the Colts. Malik Willis played probably his best game of his career last week in a revenge game against the Titans. But I'm really going to go with the Packers over the Vikings. I feel like this week, prove me wrong, Vikings fans. Please, Vikings players too as well. Prove me wrong. I'm going to go with the Packers, though, unfortunately.
I love it because I'm going with the Packers too. And I feel really confident about it because Jordan Love is going to play this week. I'm calling it right now. It's not official, but I'm going to say he's playing. The games against the Vikings just mean more interdivision. The return of Aaron Jones to Green Bay as well. So that's going to be a big storyline going into it. But my story to watch throughout this game, keep an eye on Jair Alexander locking up Justin Jefferson like he normally does. Because Justin Jefferson talked mad shit this week saying that this matchup matters way more to Jair than it does to Justin Jefferson. Jair wasn't talking about Justin Jefferson in the media this week. Jay Jettas was talking about Ja Money. So I'm just saying, let's go Pack. Go Pack, go.
Yeah, I've really, Vikings fans, I'm almost changed my pick with that. Please lock in.
Ja Money, man.
Please lock in. All right, next game we got the Steelers versus the Colts, Pittsburgh and Indianapolis. I'm going to go with Indianapolis. I feel like Indianapolis has been very underwhelming this season. They did beat the Bears this past week, but they've kind of been underwhelming. They had a close game against the Packers that they probably would have liked to run it back. Same thing against the Texans. They're playing at home. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Colts this week. I feel like they're gonna end the undefeated streak of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Justin Fields has been playing really, really well, and I do think he's gonna end up staying the starter when Russell Wilson comes back, whether it's this week or next week. But I think this is the game where I think this breaks for the Colts.
Yeah, I think so too, man. The Colts need a break because the way AR looked last week against Chicago, that was rough, man. Actually, I think I'm gonna go with the Steelers here because I am an AR fan, and I think he needs a bounce back game. Steelers defense might not be the best place or time to do it. They are in Indianapolis, but you just know how relentless TJ Watt is, and the back end of that Pittsburgh defense is very good. So yeah, give me the Steelers.
Gotcha. All right, next game we're gonna have the Los Angeles Rams against the Chicago Bears. This game, I'm gonna go with the Bears. I really, really think the Bears got a chance to get the upset over the Rams. Even though last week we were talking about how hurt the Rams were, and they pulled off a crazy upset against the Niners while missing Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, and a couple of their offensive linemen. But I think the Bears playing at home, that defense, I think they're going to make this game messy for Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. And I really think they're going to feel the effects of missing all those weapons. So I'm going to go with the Chicago Bears.
I'm going to go with the Rams. I think the Rams really impressed me last week against San Francisco, and they just had a really good game plan. I know San Francisco was pretty banged up going into it, but yeah, I like what the Rams are doing. I like that Sean McVay is finding creative ways to get that offense going despite all the injuries. So, yeah.
Betsky. Next game we got the
3 o'clock window now.
Yeah, I think we're joining the 3 o'clock window. No, we still got one more 12 o'clock game. We got the Eagles versus the Bucks, which is my game of the week. I think these two teams so far have been the most impressive teams in the NFC. It's going to be a rematch of the NFC wildcard game from last season when the Bucks bounced the Eagles. This week am going to go with the Bucks. I think the Bucks playing at home. Baker Mayfield has played extremely, extremely well. I think there's some questions I still need to ask of Philly, even though they have been incredibly resilient this year. Unfortunate to say for me, but I think the Bucks playing at home is going to help a lot. I think Baker's played really, really well. Jalen Hurts. I think it's safe to say that he officially has a turnover problem. It's no longer a bug. I feel like this is entering the category of this being the type of quarterback he is, and I love it. As far as being the president of the Jalen Hurts fan club, I don't know if AJ. I don't know. Yeah. Hate fan club. But yeah.
Hate
Let's
fan
make
club,
that.
not
Let's make
just
that.
fan club. Yeah.
Whoa. Yeah. Let's make that very clear. Um, but I'm gonna go with the Buccaneers. I think they're gonna pull out the dub.
Well, if you're the leader of the Jalen Hurts hate fan club, I guess I'm a member. I'm not going to lead the pack, but I am a member of the Jalen Hurts fan club because I still think he's a good quarterback, man. I think the Eagles are a solid team, and the Bucs did not look too hot last week. I know the Denver defense is pretty solid, but so is the Eagles front seven. So I think they're going to be all over Baker. Give me the Eagles.
Gotcha. Next game we got the first 3:00 game. We're gonna take the Patriots versus the 49ers in San Fran. I think we both can agree on this. I think the Niners, even without their weapons, are gonna get the dub. Yeah, Niners. Next game we got the Commanders versus the Cardinals. Honestly,
wait, hold on. I'm sorry. I feel like the Patriots fans who are watching this video are like, "What the fuck?
yeah,
You
we
talked
skimmed
about
through this,
every
and I
other
don't feel
team.
bad. Yeah, I don't feel
You
bad.
don't feel bad?
No, the Patriots stink, bro. The Patriots really do stink.
I mean, hey, they've shown more than I thought they would, but yeah, I mean, let's be realistic. You know, we know where they are for real, but
yeah. I'm gonna go this week. Commanders versus the Cardinals. I think the Commanders are gonna win. I think the Cardinals, they just don't have enough. I think Kyler Murray has played extremely well to start the season. You can see the connection growing between him and Marvin Harrison, but I think the Commanders are doing a lot of stuff that's really solid, and I think they're gonna. I don't know if it counts as an upset because they're playing in Arizona. I think Arizona's a solid team. I'm gonna pick the Commanders though.
it is an upset because Arizona is the favorite. I'm going with the Cardinals though. They're at home. I think the Commanders played really good last week, but the Cardinals have played 3 really tough teams to start their season. They opened with the Bills. They played the Rams week 2, and then they played the Lions last week and took them to the wire. So I think the Cardinals have their problems. They're not very good on defense, but neither are the Commanders. So I think this is going to be a big Kyler Marvin Harrison game. Yeah, give me the Cardinals.
Next game, we're gonna have the Chiefs versus the Chargers in my game of the week. I think we're gonna see how far, or one of my games of the week. I'm gonna go with this my game of the week. Wait, let me stop playing both sides. I'm gonna go my game of the week in Chiefs versus the Chargers. I think the Chiefs, obviously the best team in the NFL, even though they might have not played it so far this season. Some might say a couple of lucky breaks in each and every game, but I think this is a really good matchup. In division rival in the Chargers. I think the Chargers have played pretty solid to start the season, especially when it comes to the culture saying and changing the look of the Chargers from years past, relying more on physicality, running the ball on defense, a Jim Harbaugh type of team. I'm going to go with the Chargers. I feel like this is going to be a big statement win for them this week. They're playing at home. I think the Chiefs, particularly, they need a good punch in the mouth to start the season. I don't think Patrick Mahomes has played well. I really, really don't think he's played well. I don't think Travis Kelce has played well. I think he's entered the season out of shape. And I think they're doing a lot of heavy lifting through a guy like Rashee Rice, who's played really, really well. But I'm going to go with the Chargers this week.
You know, I was really excited about what the Chargers have been doing. I still am. Harbaugh being there has been great for them, but they're going into this game so undermanned, bro. They lost both of their tackles last week. Herbert's hurt. They lost Derwin James because of a suspension. He's not going to be playing, and it's just too much to go against Kansas City, who, even though they're not playing their best football right now, that defense is still a problem. And as long as Patrick Mahomes is on the other sideline, he's going to keep them in the game. So give me the Chiefs. It hurts to say because I like the Chargers. I want to see them win, but I think this one's just too much to overcome for them.
Gotcha. Next game, we got Browns versus Raiders. The battle of the mid-offs. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Raiders this week. I think last week you talked about. I think there's an interesting development when Antonio Pierce, the head coach, talked about how he feels like a lot of players aren't really playing for the badge, playing for the team in it of itself. And I feel like they're gonna rise to the occasion this week. The Browns aren't a very good team. The defense I thought would have been a lot better than it was last year. Hasn't been good. Deshaun Watson, a little better since the Cowboys game. I don't think it's going to be enough, though. The Raiders at home. I'm going to pick the Raiders.
Oh, this one's so tough to pick, man, because the Browns are bad. Deshaun Watson is horrible. I think their defense is good, but they're just on the field way too much. And the Raiders, I don't know if you saw Antonio Pierce's comments after the game, but he literally had to call out Jack Jones for taking business decisions where guys are just playing for themselves. I don't think things are very good on either one of those teams. So I don't feel very confident in this, but give me the Browns.
Gotcha. All right. Next up, I'm going to go with
it's Sunday night football, and this is my game of the week, honestly, because this is going to be a barn burner, I think.
We got the Bills versus the Ravens. I think the Bills have definitely adjusted so far this season to losing a guy like Stephon Diggs. I think Josh Allen has played really, really well. Definitely an early season MVP candidate. And I think the Ravens need this win. I think they got an impressive win over the Cowboys, where they were able to build a lead and kind of hold on to it throughout the game, even though they kind of had a scare at the end. But I do think they played really, really well. I do think they played really, really well. So I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, man, I've been going back and forth on this one all week, man, because, like I said, this is my game of the week. The two marquee quarterbacks going up against each other. I really don't know which way to go because I don't want to bet against Josh Allen and how well he's been playing. And I'm not going to because crazy stat right now. And Ethan, you're not going to believe this. Through 3 weeks, Josh Allen has not thrown an interception.
I know the turnover machine that he is. I know. I'm surprised too. That's against my agenda. Too. Yeah, that's against my agenda too, which I don't like that much. But I gotta give credit where credit's due. I think Joe Brady has done a really, really good job, especially through the second half of last season, taking the ball out of Josh Allen's hands, giving guys like James Cook an opportunity to do a lot of heavy lifting. And James Cook has played really, really well to start the season. So I'm not mad at you picking the Bills. I think the Bills have been really, really good.
Man, I think deeper than that, and this is not a shot at Stephon Diggs because I know a lot of people are trying in the media to make it a shot at Stephon Diggs, but I really do think that getting a number one receiver out of that offense is helping Josh Allen. It's just for him now, it's not I have to get the ball to Stephon Diggs. It's I can get the ball to whoever is the best option available. And with his fucking rocket arm, he can make any throw on the field. So it's literally just about finding the guy who's open. And so far, he's been doing it. So I want to see him do it again against a very good Baltimore team. Give me the Bills.
Gotcha. And then we're going to go to one of our 2 Monday night games. We're going to go with the first up. We're going to go with the Titans versus the Dolphins. The battle of the mid.
Stink fest, man.
Yeah,
it's going to be bad.
I think it's going to be really, really bad. I'm going to go with the Titans. I think the Titans are going to get their first win of the season against the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are going to be in a free-for-all, especially without Tua. Skylar Thompson is not bad. I think they should really look into trading for a quarterback, especially to salvage somewhat of the season. Trey Lance. But
Zach Wilson is what I've been hearing.
I'm not mad at Zach Wilson either for them because guys like Tyreek and Jalen Waddle, they're going to start voicing their opinions very, very soon. But I'm going to go with the Titans. I think they're going to win in Miami, get an early season dub, get out of that 0-3 hole that they're in, and get a W in the win column.
Yeah, I'm going to trail you on this one too. I'm going to go Tennessee. But I really want to see something from the Dolphins this week because Mike McDaniel, this is your time. I understand that Tua is your guy, the starting quarterback, the guy you just paid millions of dollars, but you've got to find a way to produce some offense without him on the field because they are just so lackluster when he's not playing. And again, I understand that you're starting quarterback and Tua does all of the things that you need him to do for your system, but you've got Tyreek, you've got Waddle, you've got Achane. You've got to get creative ways. You got to get creative, Mike McDaniel. Get these guys the ball because they are your playmakers. And I just haven't seen enough of it from them yet. So give me the Titans.
Got you. And then our final Monday night game, we're gonna have Seattle Seahawks at the Detroit Lions. I'm gonna go with the Detroit Lions. I feel like this is gonna be a very, very good win on their resume, and I think the Seahawks have played good to start this year. I think Geno, especially, has been really, really good in helping get into this Mike McDonald area of the Seahawks. But I think Detroit at home, they play really, really well at home. I'm gonna pick Detroit.
Yeah, give me the Lions. And again, not to take away anything from Geno and what the Seahawks have done, but they have not had a very good season, or not a very strong start in terms of like the teams that they're playing. They played the Broncos week 1, they played the Patriots week 2, and a Tua-less Dolphins week 3. So this is going to be a little bit more of a challenge. I want to see how they step up. Give me the Lions.
Got you. Well, that's going to be it for our week 4 NFL predictions, as well as our week 3 NFL overreactions. If you want to see more of our content, check out our podcast that we have in the AWR podcast. Please make sure to subscribe, like the video, comment. Let me know what takes you think we were tripping on, what takes we were overreacting on, and put them tush, and what you guys are excited to see about so far this week. You already know what it is.
You should tweet at us at AWR podcast before NFL football on Sunday, and let us know what y'all's records are looking like right now, because we'll do an update of ours.
Oh, for sure. Next episode, I think we're gonna put a little graphic on the screen,
like a scoreboard.
Yeah, to see which one so far this season. Because I'm not gonna lie, there's been a lot of upsets, so I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot closer than people might think.
That's what I'm thinking too. I'm thinking we're like 50-50, but
for sure,
we'll find out
for sure.